All right, let me now welcome a very special guest, former Gophers wrestling great, and now Bellator MMA fighter, Michael Blockhus. How are we doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. So a lot of my fan base is obviously Gophers fans, so I kind of want to start with your Gophers wrestling career a little bit. And you obviously started your collegiate wrestling career at UNI, and then you transferred to the Gophers. And something I always find interesting is recruiting stories for athletes like yourself. And uh, entering the transfer portal now is a little different than when you did it for all college sports. But what was kind of your recruiting process to the Gophers? Was it always a program that you looked at in a very high regard? And kind of how did that work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always grown up watching Minnesota wrestlers as a kid, and being an Iowa boy, maybe I was an Iowa fan, looked up to a lot of those guys. But as I grew older, I kind of became open to a lot more colleges, and I didn't really want to stay in Iowa through the recruiting process at the beginning, but it was just like UNI was like a spot for me where I wanted to go, and then I kind of realized like I'm better than where I want to be, and I know there's a place there where I can go achieve it. And as I go back into the portal, um, my options opened up a lot better because I mean I was a returning NCAA qualifier that year it got canceled, and then yeah, I was able to talk to a lot of programs, and Minnesota was one I fell in love with. The coaches, the guys there, everything about it was just perfect fit for me. And it's Big Ten wrestling. It's a different ball game than a lot of these other conferences. It's tough grind, hard nosed wrestling, and yeah, I just loved everything about Minnesota and pretty much the atmosphere of the wrestling program in particular. The coaches and the teammates, everything was like a big family for me. So yeah, it was a good fit for me for sure.
Were there any other programs that were serious options for you, or was it always just kind of the Gophers?
Yeah, I had a couple serious options and talking with my family and friends and just people I'm close with. It came down to like two options. I won't say the other schools, but um, Minnesota was one that just kind of set itself apart from a lot of the other ones just because honestly, like talking to the guys on their team and seeing their mindset and how they go about life is just things that I fit in with. And the coaches were awesome. They're realistic people. A lot of times you get into this recruiting process and coaches will feed you a bunch of things you want to hear. And I think Minnesota has realistic coaches that are going to tell you straight up, like, this is what we got and this is what you're joining to be a part of. And I was all in.
So I guess fast forwarding to your last season last year with the Gophers, you placed eighth at the NCAA tournament individually, and then you got obviously All-American honors on top of that. Looking back, I guess as your college career as a whole and last year specifically, how satisfying was it to have that success in the national tournament, and kind of what were your thoughts and feelings looking back in your college career?
It was a satisfying relief because it's something you work towards since you were a little kid. I wouldn't even say just the tournament in general was like the highlight of my career. It's the steps to get there, it's the practice, being in the practice room and doing everything outside is what I miss the most. And those are where you're really gonna kind of learn about yourself, and your rest is in the room and outside of in the room, hanging with the boys. Just doing all that stuff is what I really enjoyed the most. And um the wrestling, I mean, it speaks for itself, the hard work you put in throughout the year and becoming a Big Ten finalist, NCAA All-American. It was it's a satisfying relief, but also it's like I wanted to win a national title, and I know I was capable of it. So like that always is a chip on the shoulder, but also it's like you're an All-American, nobody can take that away from you. And yeah, we're going from there. And it was a heck of a ride, and I'm blessed I was able to do it at Minnesota of all colleges.
Yeah, definitely. So At what point in your, I guess, college wrestling career was it something you knew before you started wrestling collegiately that you were eventually going to want to make the transition to MMA, or kind of what was that? When did that feeling start in your head?
Uh, yeah, I would say a little bit. I've always loved MMA, watching it since I was a kid, and it's combat sports. It's a lot like wrestling. It's tough, gritty, and obviously you're punching each other in the face. So it's a little different on that side of things. But overall, like I really looked up to a lot of the guys in MMA, and I mean, one of my guys I looked up to the most was like, I mean, Logan Storley's a Gopher alum, and he's kind of taking me under his wing down here in Florida. And that really kind of helped make my decision too, is just seeing these guys, their success, they're past wrestlers, and you can see like wrestling dominates the sport of MMA. If you look at all the world champions in the last 5 years, 10 years, most of them are wrestlers and have wrestling background. And you can just, I wanted to stick, I love competing. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because just to say I'm a fighter, whatever you want to put quotes around it, and be a pro MMA fighter. It's cool, blah blah. No, I'm doing this because I love this. I love to compete. I'm a combat athlete, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't love the sport and love to compete. And that's just the ultimate reason. Yeah, I would say sophomore year of college is when I really kind of seen what I really want to do with my life after college.
So I personally have gotten into watching MMA past couple of years. Was there a fight or a moment where you were a kid watching it that you're like, okay, this is pretty cool, or a specific fighter even?
Yeah, one. I mean, for sure. Uh, yeah, it hits different when you have a buddy and a friend that's doing it. Like I was
Yeah.
always just a fan, and I thought it was cool to watch this stuff, and then you meet people like Logan and other guys that are in MMA, and I've come down here and I've trained with them. Then you start to feel it a little bit more when you're watching, and you get the emotions, and that's really when I was like, yeah, I'm all in on this thing. Like I'm starting to get my adrenaline, my blood pumping just by watching them. And I was like, I just want to go in there and go to war with these guys by my side. Like that's, I would say, really meeting them and was the ultimate factor and decider. Like this is something I want to do.
Yeah, so obviously you mentioned Logan Storley, who'll be headlining the your debut card. There's also Mitch McKee, who's had one fight under the Bellator banner, training at Hillcliff in Florida. How helpful has that relationship been with you to have a guy who's competed for a world title that you're clearly friends with, helping you get more connections with a promotion like Bellator, a gym like Hillcliff? How helpful has that relationship
Mm-hmm.
been for you?
It's been a smoother transition than others because obviously I have the connections. They've been there, they've done it, and it's a lot easier when I can move down here with people that I know, and they know the transition, what it takes, what you got to do, and make things easier, you know. And Mitchell, you mentioned him; he's like one of my main training partners. He's been doing this for I don't know 2 3 years now. I mean, time flies, but he's killing it, and he's ready to make that next level jump. Like his techniques and everything has just skyrocketed since he's been down here, and that's ultimately why I wanted to get down here right away. Is just why wait? You know, I don't need a break after an NCAA season. Like, why wait and slow your career down when you can just jump right into it and get it going? You know, and these guys, they've done it and they started early, and that's why I wanted to do it too. So yeah, it's been good. Good solid training down here. Kill Cliff Gym is full of killers. I mean, they got world champs on world champs, and it's one of the most diverse gyms in the country, I would say, where we have people from all over the world, different styles, and it's been good.
Yeah, so now you obviously are a few days away from making your MMA debut professionally with Bellator. What kind of went into the process of signing with them? I would assume that it's just a one fight deal. Did you have any other ideas of maybe competing on the regional scene, or what was kind of your process getting a fight set up with them?
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, my background in wrestling really helped. If I was just a normal average kid that wanted to get into MMA, I don't think I would have got this fight and on such a big card right away. So that definitely helps, and people that you know and who you train with. But yeah, I was planning on obviously going like a local route, just getting fights in. It's like mat time with wrestling, same thing. I got to get in a cage and I got to get these fights in, and that's what I was going to do. No matter what promotion, I mean, I don't the promotion, the logo on your glove, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going in there to fight no matter what, and get in, get out is the plan. So really, I mean, it's awesome. It's cool to be on this card, not just because of the promotion, which I'm grateful Bellator's letting me on this, but also it's a Midwest crowd. I mean, I get to fight in front of my home team, Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota. I know people from all over that Midwest region, and a lot of people are coming to this fight, and I'm pumped just to put on a show for them. Midwest has got a special place in my heart, and yeah, I know me and Logan are looking to go up there and put on a show for the Midwest home team.
So you'll be, I guess, opening the card against Eli Mefford, who's I guess on paper he's a guy who necessarily might not have the shiny record or any high accolades. So from your point of view, how much effort do you put into scouting an opponent like him and making sure that you're not overlooking him and not looking at any of his stats or numbers because they might not look the best and just treating it as a normal opponent?
Yeah, it's a fight game. Anything can happen. One slight punch from anybody can slip you and end up putting you out. But ultimately, I'm just trusting in the staff down here, the coaches and my training partners and kind of mentors that I have down here. They know what it takes. They've coached high level world champions and been around it for a very, very long time. And I'm just getting into this game. So little scouting here and there, but it's a lot like wrestling when I'm scouting a guy that I'm going out there to compete against. You're going to go out there and you're going to do what you do. And I mean, fight your style, wrestle your style. It's the same thing. Stick to what I'm good at. And yeah, I don't overlook anybody, no matter what their record is on a piece of paper, because I've lost to kids in wrestling that maybe didn't have the greatest record, and you learn from that. But yeah, there's no overlooking anything. I'm going in there like this guy has 8 world championship belts. It doesn't matter. I'm going in there to do what I do and just put on a show.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Killcliff does have one of the most, I guess, impressive rosters in MMA at their gym. A lot of top talent. For you, as someone who's just getting started in the sport of MMA, and now in your first training camp for a pro fight, what does a normal training day look like at Killcliff?
We we train pretty hard down here. There's no slacking for sure. If there is, the coaches they'll get on you about it or get out of the room. It's a lot like Minnesota wrestling style where you're going in there to grind every single day, and there's no accepting anything less. We go a couple times a day throughout the week. They have a system in place where we do sparring twice a week, and we got MMA drilling, live goes, stuff like that. It's all situational. Like they have a plan for it for all the guys, and you can kind of work your schedule out depending if you have a fight coming up, and they'll do it for you. Like they got your best interest in hand, and yeah, it's ultimately what I'm doing. I'm just trusting in their plan, and I stick to the workout schedule. We got strength coach down here, Corey Peacock. He knows what he's doing for sure. And yeah, we got all the resources, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you mentioned that wrestling's one of the obviously the best bases for MMA. And I mean, historically, guys in the UFC like Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez. Now, recently, Bo Nickel is now making a big name for himself. Well, why do you think wrestling translates so well to MMA and so well to have, I think, instant success? Because I mean, guys like that, like it happens right away that you can tell that their base is just so much higher of a level than any other guy who's starting in MMA.
Yeah, you can transition very well with wrestling. I mean, your stance and the grappling, um, your takedowns is huge, like setting and stuff up. The striking comes, like obviously we're behind striking a lot than people that have been doing it since they were 6, but they're a lot farther behind than in their wrestling. And it's harder to strike when you get taken down to your back and beat up. Like, that's just why wrestling is the ultimate kind of backbone in MMA. But also, I would say the biggest thing is the mentality thing, the side of things. Like, the mentality strength that you need in wrestling it foregoes any other sport, personally, in my opinion, because nobody realizes, like, an NCAA wrestling season, they don't realize what it takes and everything that goes on the backside of things, making weight every single week, couple times a week on side of your school and training. And a lot of that, you have to have strong mentality. And going into the NCAA tournament, you make weight 3 days in a row. And on top of that, you're working out, you're getting your weight off. You go out there, you compete at your best, and it all goes in together to play together, like, it's just nothing beats it. Nothing beats the wrestling mentality side of things. So that's where you get your biggest jump too, I think.
So, kind of, I guess, changing subjects a little, one of your teammates from Minnesota, Gable Steveson, is kind of now entering his post-collegiate wrestling career. He just had his first pro wrestling match with WWE and NXT, I think on Sunday it was. I've listened to a few of your other interviews and learned how close, I guess, you guys were as teammates. How cool is it to see him making a name for himself outside of the collegiate wrestling scene? And I guess, what are you watching from him? And do you, I guess, hope to ever go into WWE? Or are you trying to hope to get him to come to the MMA world? Or kind of how's your guys' relationship now?
Yeah, I would love to see him fight. Yeah, I don't know. He's killing this thing right now. Like, he went out there, he's doing his thing, and he's a superstar. That's who Gabe Steveson is. And yeah, we still talk and we're good friends. So we keep in touch with each other, FaceTimes, whatever. But I watched the match the other night. He goes out there, he's confident. I asked him if he was nervous at all, and he goes, no. Like, he loves it. Like, that's what he loves to do. If you get thousands and thousands of fans, you're going to get the best Gabe Steveson you can out of him, because that's what he does. He goes out there and he puts on a show. That's why he's a showman. Like, he's going out in the WWE and he'll kill whatever he does. WWE, whatever he wants to go into. If he ends up wanting to do MMA, he's the best wrestler in the world. If all one of the best ever, in my opinion. Dominating a weight class like heavyweight and just making people look silly out there, where his transition into MMA, he would be fast tracked really quick. Get his striking going, and he'd be messing up dudes in top 5 UFC, in my opinion, and could be the next dominant UFC champion or Bellator champion, whatever he wants. We'll see what he wants to do.
Yeah, the rest of his career, I think, will be a joy to follow. I guess you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but there were obviously some rumors of him returning to college wrestling and maybe transferring to Iowa. And obviously, you're closer to him than most. Do you think those were truthful rumors, I guess, or were they just kind of him trying to build up some more noise and energy regarding his fight?
Yeah, I don't know. People say a lot of things, and I just let it go in one ear and out the other, to be honest. That dude's a legend in the maroon and gold, and I don't think he would ever sacrifice all the stuff he's put in for the Gopher wrestling program. So, yeah, I mean, all those rumors and those people that got their Twitter fingers going, probably in their parents' basement, like typing on their computers and don't know what's going on, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it. So I one of the last questions I got here for you. When you are entering MMA now, do you have like a goal where you want to be in like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or do you just kind of take it fight by fight, training by training, or kind of what's your outlook for your potential future career?
Yeah, I just want to compete and get fights in and out of the cage, all healthy, and that's my plan for the beginning of my career. And then you renegotiate and you go from there. Like, obviously, then you start to fall into some rankings. It's a system, and getting fights in right now is my biggest thing. And then eventually, I want to be a world champ. That's ultimately what I want to do is go get a belt and then defend it. A lot of these guys, they like to jump around weight classes, but one of the hardest things to do is to defend your weight class multiple times. And you see guys like even the UFC, he did it. And a lot of guys in Bellator, they defend their belt. Ryan Bader's a guy I look up to. Um, he's one of the dominant champs in Bellator right now. Storley, he um, he's on the path to go get the belt back. He's got a tough fight this coming up, and he's going to go take care of business and go get the belt back. The guy's more motivated than ever. So, yeah, that's ultimately is go get a bunch of belts.
Yeah, I guess one more for you. MMA right now is kind of, I think, outside of the UFC, at least, it's an interesting transition with other promotions like PFL. There's rumors with Bellator. Are you just kind of, from your point of view, are you just kind of looking at whoever's gonna get you fights, like you said, you just need those reps in the cage, or what do you have any goals for what promotion you want to represent, or what's kind of your outlook with that?
I mean, right now I'm just fight by fight. Bellator has offered me this great opportunity, and right now I'm taking that fight and I'm going to put on a show for the Bellator fight fans, and let alone the MMA community, Midwest, everything. Um, yeah, I don't have any plans on what I'm going to do after this. Pretty much just take it fight by fight, and I got a management team. They know what's best, and we're just go from there. Right now, I'm just focused on August 11th and taking care of business, getting that done and out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I know all of Gophers fans will be rooting for you. I really appreciate you doing this interview. You can watch Michael Blockhus make his MMA debut next Friday, August 11th at 5:30 p.m. Central Time on the Bellator YouTube channel. Again, I really appreciate you taking time to do this interview, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.